I never thought my own son would be the one to break my heart. For 37 years, I had lived in the small two-story house on Maple Street that my late husband George and I had bought when we were newlyweds. Every corner held a memory. The kitchen where I'd baked birthday cakes, the living room where we'd celebrated Christmases, the garden where George had planted roses before he passed 5 years ago. I was 68 years old, healthy enough to manage on my own with my weekly bridge club, my volunteer work at the library, and my beloved vegetable garden that still produced tomatoes every summer. My son, Michael, had always been attentive, or so I thought. He called every Sunday, visited twice a month with his wife, Jennifer. They seemed concerned about me living alone, but I'd assured them countless times I was perfectly fine. I had my routines, my independence, my dignity. Then the visits became more frequent. 3 times a week, 4 times a week. Michael would walk through the house, his eyes scanning everything with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. "Mom, this carpet is worn," he'd say. Or, "These stairs are dangerous for someone your age." Jennifer would nod vigorously, her painted lips pressed into a thin line of false concern. "We're just worried about you, Eleanor." She'd coo, but her eyes never matched her smile. How blind had I been? How long had they been planning this? It started with small suggestions. "Maybe you should think about downsizing, Mom." Then it escalated. "We found a wonderful assisted living facility, just for a visit to see what you think." I refused, of course. I wasn't ready to leave my home, my life, my memories. I was managing just fine. Thank you very much. But what happened next would change everything. Wait until you hear what my son did when I said no. Drop a comment and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. I'd love to know who's part of our community. Michael became insistent. The visits turned tense. His voice, once warm, now carried an edge of impatience. "You're being stubborn," he'd snap. "What if you fall? What if something happens and no one's here?" Jennifer would place her hand on his arm, playing the peacemaker. But I could see the calculation in her eyes. They weren't worried about my safety. They wanted something else. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning in late September. Michael arrived unannounced with Jennifer and a man in a gray suit who introduced himself as Mr. Peterson, an elder care consultant. They sat me down at my own kitchen table, the same table where I'd fed Michael countless meals, where I'd helped him with homework, where we'd laughed and cried together as a family. "Mom, we need to talk seriously about your future," Michael began, and I noticed he wouldn't meet my eyes. "We found a place for you. Sunnyvale Retirement Community. It's beautiful, top-rated, and they have immediate availability." "I don't want to go," I said firmly. "You don't have a choice." Jennifer's voice was sharp, the mask slipping for just a moment. Michael shot her a warning look, then softened his tone. "What Jennifer means is that we've already made the arrangements. We'll sell the house, and the money will cover your care indefinitely. You'll be safe, Mom. Isn't that what matters?" The papers appeared before I could process what was happening: power of attorney, real estate documents, care facility agreements. Mr. Peterson droned on about clauses and signatures while Michael kept saying, "It's for the best, Mom. Trust me." And God help me, some part of me still wanted to trust him. This was my son, my only child. So when he pressed the pen into my hand, I took it. When he pointed to the signature lines, I signed. One after another, I watched my hand form the letters of my name, Eleanor Mitchell, giving away everything George and I had built together. In their celebration, they left one document behind, and what I discovered on it made my blood run cold. Michael's face brightened immediately. He actually smiled, a real smile, and hugged Jennifer. "Thank you, Mom," he said, kissing my forehead like I was a child who'd finally behaved. "You won't regret this." But as they left, laughing and chatting about their plans for my house, I sat alone at that kitchen table and felt the first cold finger of dread trace down my spine. In their celebration, they'd left one document behind, a real estate broker's estimate of my home's value. $750,000. What had I just done? The next 3 days passed in a blur of packing boxes and forced smiles. Michael and Jennifer came every morning, efficiently sorting through my life like I was already gone. "You won't need this at Sunnyvale," Jennifer would say, tossing my grandmother's china into a box marked estate sale. I watched in numb silence as my home was systematically dismantled. But at night, alone in my bedroom, fear gnawed at me with sharp teeth. I couldn't sleep. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, replaying that Tuesday morning over and over. What exactly had I signed? I hadn't read the documents carefully. Michael had rushed me. Mr. Peterson had used legal jargon I couldn't follow, and I'd been so overwhelmed, so confused. $750,000. That number haunted me. On Thursday night, I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of tea that had long gone cold, and I finally let myself feel the full weight of what was happening. My son was stealing from me, not just my house, but my independence, my dignity, my right to choose my own path. And I had helped him do it by signing those papers. Anger began to burn through the fear. This was my house, my life. George and I had worked ourselves to the bone to pay off the mortgage. We'd sacrificed vacations, new cars, luxuries so we could give Michael a good life, send him to college. And this was how he repaid me. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. I wasn't going down without a fight. If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon. I had to think clearly. What were my options? I was alone, elderly, and I'd already signed documents I didn't fully understand. Could I even fight this? Michael had always been the smart one, the successful one. He was a financial advisor with connections, money, a silver tongue. What was I? Just an old woman who'd spent her life taking care of others? No, that wasn't all I was. I was Eleanor Mitchell. I'd survived the death of my parents in a car accident when I was 23. I'd raised a child while working full-time as a nurse. I'd nursed my husband through his final illness without breaking down once in front of him. I was stronger than Michael thought, stronger than I'd been letting myself believe. Friday morning, after Michael and Jennifer left with another load of my belongings, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called a taxi and went to the library. My friend Margaret worked there, and more importantly, they had computers and a young librarian named Tim who'd helped me learn to use email last year. "Mrs. Mitchell," Margaret greeted me with surprise. "I thought you'd moved already." "Not yet," I said carefully. "Margaret, I need help. Legal help, but I don't know where to start." We sat in a quiet corner, and I told her everything. Her face grew increasingly troubled. "Eleanor, this doesn't sound right. If you signed under pressure, if you didn't understand what you were signing, can I undo it? I don't know, but I know who might." She wrote down a name and number. Linda Chen. She's a family lawyer. Her mother is in my bridge club. She does pro bono work for seniors. Call her. My hands shook as I dialed the number on Margaret's cell phone. A professional voice answered, and I explained my situation in a whisper, terrified Michael might somehow hear me. Linda Chen listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Mrs. Mitchell, I need you to do something important. Do you have copies of what you signed?" "No, they took everything." "Then we need to get copies." "And Mrs. Mitchell? Don't sign anything else. Don't agree to anything else." "When do they plan to move you?" "Monday. They're moving me to Sunnyvale on Monday." "That gives us 3 days," Linda said. And what she told me to do next was both terrifying and brilliant. Saturday morning, I woke with purpose for the first time in days. Linda Chen had been clear. I needed copies of every document I'd signed, and I needed to file a formal complaint before the sale went through. But how could I get those papers when Michael had taken everything? The answer came from an unexpected source. Mr. Peterson's business card, crumpled but readable, was still in my kitchen trash, exactly where I'd hoped. Harper Real Estate Group. I called the number, my heart pounding. "Harper Real Estate, this is Denise speaking." "Hello, this is Eleanor Mitchell. I recently signed some documents with Mr. Peterson regarding my property at 247 Maple Street. I lost my copies in the confusion of packing. Could I possibly get duplicates?" I kept my voice sweet, confused, the stereotype of a forgetful old woman. "Oh, of course, Mrs. Mitchell. Let me look that up. Yes, here it is. I can email them to you. or if you'd like to come by the office. I'll come by, I said quickly. In Margaret's car, we read through the documents, and with each page, my blood ran colder. There it was in black and white. I'd signed a general power of attorney, giving Michael complete control over all my financial and legal affairs. I'd signed a deed transfer, putting my house directly in his name. I'd even signed away my right to contest the sale. Eleanor, Margaret whispered, her face pale. This means he can do anything. Access your bank accounts, your pension, everything. My bank accounts? I hadn't even thought about those. Drive me to First National Bank right now. The bank manager, Mr. Robertson, looked uncomfortable when I asked about my accounts. Mrs. Mitchell, your son came in Wednesday morning. He had power of attorney documents. He moved most of your funds into a joint account with his name on it. How much? $43,000. He left about $2,000 in your checking account for immediate expenses. The room spun. $43,000. My entire life savings, everything George and I had saved gone. Moved into an account Michael controlled. But I wasn't defeated. Not yet. Because Monday morning, I had a plan that would turn the tables completely. Monday morning came too quickly and too slowly at the same time. Linda Chen had arranged to meet me at the county courthouse at 8 a.m. before Michael was scheduled to pick me up at 10 o'clock to take me to Sunnyvale. I'd barely slept, rehearsing what I would say, what I would do if Michael arrived early. Margaret drove me to the courthouse. Inside, Linda Chen waited, a small, sharp-eyed woman in her 40s who radiated competence. Mrs. Mitchell, we're filing 3 things today, she explained calmly. First, a petition to revoke the power of attorney on the grounds that it was obtained through undue influence. Second, a restraining order preventing any sale of your property. Third, a freeze on the joint account your son created. We spent 2 hours filing paperwork. By 10:30, it was done. The restraining order was temporary, but immediate. Michael couldn't touch my money or my house until a hearing scheduled for the following Monday, 7 days away. Now comes the hard part, Linda said. He's going to find out very soon. When he does, he'll likely confront you. Don't engage alone. I arrived home at 11 o'clock to find Michael's car already in my driveway. My stomach dropped. He was standing on my porch, his face dark with fury. Jennifer beside him with her arms crossed. Where the hell have you been? Michael demanded. You were supposed to be packed and ready. I had errands. Errands? We had an appointment at Sunnyvale, Mom. He stopped mid-sentence, his eyes widening. Wait. What were you doing at the courthouse? Jennifer held up her phone. Paul Harper called. Apparently, there's a restraining order preventing the sale of your house. What did you do, Eleanor? I straightened my spine. I protected what's mine. Michael's face went red. Protected? From what? From your own son trying to help you. You stole my money. You took $43,000 from my account without asking. You were going to sell my house and keep the money. That money was for your care. Then why is it in an account with your name on it? What Michael said next proved I'd made the right decision. And the judge would soon hear every word of it. The courtroom was smaller than I'd imagined, wood-paneled and formal with fluorescent lights. Linda Chen sat beside me at one table. Michael and Jennifer sat at another with their lawyer, Gregory Walsh. Judge Maria Santos entered, a woman in her 50s with intelligent eyes. This is a petition to revoke power of attorney in the matter of Eleanor Mitchell, she began. Linda outlined my case clearly. I was 68, of sound mind, living independently until my son pressured me into signing documents I didn't understand. Within days, he transferred my house and removed $43,000 from my accounts. Walsh countered smoothly, claiming I showed signs of cognitive decline. But Linda was ready. During cross-examination, she pulled out a document. Your Honor, this is Mr. Mitchell's search history. 3 weeks before moving his mother to Sunnyvale, he was researching luxury vacations to Italy. Michael's face went red. I was stressed. I needed a break. A break funded by your mother's stolen money. Linda pressed. I didn't steal anything, Michael protested. That money was for Mom's care, and if I wanted to use some of it to relieve my stress from caring for her, that was my right. The courtroom went silent. Even Walsh looked stunned. Michael had just admitted it. Then I took the stand. "Are you of sound mind?" Judge Santos asked me directly. I looked her in the eye. "Yes, Your Honor. I understand perfectly. My son tried to steal my home and my money, and I'm here to stop him." Judge Santos nodded slowly. "I've heard enough. It is the finding of this court that Eleanor Mitchell is of sound mind. The power of attorney is hereby revoked. The deed transfer is void. Mr. Mitchell, you will return all funds within 48 hours or face charges for elder financial abuse." Michael shot to his feet. "This is insane." Furthermore, the judge continued coldly, "I'm issuing a permanent restraining order preventing Michael Mitchell and Jennifer Mitchell from coming within 500 feet of Eleanor Mitchell or her property." I sat there, dizzy with relief. I'd won. I'd actually won. But the consequences for Michael were just beginning. What happened next changed his life forever. Within 48 hours, every penny of my $43,000 was back in my account. The deed to my house was re-recorded in my name only. But Linda wasn't done. "Eleanor, you have grounds to press criminal charges for elder financial abuse," she said. "The evidence is clear. I recommend you pursue it." So, I pressed charges. The district attorney's office took the case eagerly. Michael was arrested on a Friday morning. The local paper ran the story. Financial advisor charged with elder abuse of own mother. His employer terminated him immediately. In the financial services industry, trust is everything. Jennifer called me once, screaming about lawsuits and destroyed lives. I hung up and blocked her number. 3 months later, Michael took a plea deal, 5 years probation, community service, restitution of legal fees, and a permanent record of elder abuse. He would never work in finance again. His reputation was destroyed. His marriage was over. And I was free. I stood in my kitchen, making tea on a Saturday morning. The June sunlight streamed through the windows. Everything was exactly as it should be. No moving boxes, no strangers measuring walls. The garden was blooming. George's roses had come back beautifully this year. My bridge club met here every Thursday now, and I told them the whole story. They rallied around me with fierce, protective love. I was 68 years old, living in my own home, managing my own money, making my own choices. I had friends who cared about me for who I was, not what they could take from me. I had my dignity, my independence, my life. A year later, I'd even started traveling, small trips to the coast with Margaret, Portland with Rose. I'd joined a seniors fitness class and expanded my library volunteering. My life had transformed in ways I never could have imagined. So that's my story. What did I learn? That age doesn't mean helplessness. That family isn't defined by blood, but by respect and love. That fighting for yourself, even when it's painful, even when it's your own child you're fighting against, isn't selfish. It's survival. What would you do in my situation? Would you have signed those papers? Would you have fought back? Leave a comment below and share your story. Don't forget to like this video if it resonated with you, and subscribe for more inspiring stories of courage and resilience. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Remember, you're never too old to stand up for yourself. If someone is taking your power, your money, your choices, fight back. Get help. Don't go quietly. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay strong.